Campus, the Hyderabad College Collective, this world that he had chosen to inhabit, placing a solitary, all-important offspring right at the center. Come to that, what about Whitefoot, his current friend, colleague from the PhD course at Cardiff, Marxist himself? What would he think? Another train goes past, carrying a heavy rattle inside it, dense as a migraine. The tremble of the room seems to jolt the Gandhi picture slightly. He can see a square of evening light on the glass, obscuring part of Gandhi's face. Colored? Why did she write it? It is 4 p.m., an early end to his day. He has marked 4 papers, and the room has lost most of its light. Mahesh screws the lid onto his fountain pen and places it in the outer pocket of his blazer so that the brushed steel is visible against the brown polyester mix. The pen had been a present from Srini, bought with cash carefully siphoned from her first few paychecks when she had begun to work after the birth. It is almost exactly the same age as Rumi. After 10 years, it still feels smooth to the touch. Cool. Not a single visible scratch or dent on the whole body of the piece. There is still that sensation of guilty pleasure at this luxury when he thinks about what it signifies, a tool of learning and wisdom, but a flamboyant one. He buttons up and puts the exam papers to one side, releasing the blind at his window before he locks up for the day, tucking 2 MSc dissertations under his arm to look at when he gets home. 5 years earlier, Rumi had come home one day and announced that Mrs. Gold wanted to come round and meet her parents. She was just 5 years old, in her first class at school. Mahesh and Srini had arranged to leave work early on the appointed day and were home by 3:30. Srini began to fry some bhajis, while Mahesh descended into a deep silence, waiting in his shirt and tie in the living room. When Mrs. Gold walked in, Rumi was holding her hand. "What a lovely walk home we've had together, Mr. and Mrs. Vasi," she said, letting Rumi go in ahead of her. Rumi squirmed and went suddenly quiet, looking up at her father. Mahesh stared at the teacher's peroxide coiffure, whipped and sprayed into rounded peaks and troughs like a butterscotch dessert. He was confused. Mentally, he fought against relaxing, a natural response to the large smile exuded by Mrs. Gold. "Is it possible to talk to you and your wife together?" she asked. Srini had brought in the snacks and joined him, sitting with her hands in her lap, still formal in her workwear, tights and heels. There was an alertness about her. She kept looking covertly at Mahesh as if to say, "Give me the signal and I'll go ahead with whatever it is we need to do." "What is it you wanted to talk about?" Mahesh said to Mrs. Gold, feeling the accented curves of his voice as though for the first time. "Is something wrong?" "No, far from it, Mr. Vasi. I wanted to give you some news that I think will make you very proud parents." "And that is?" "Rumi is a gifted child," Mrs. Gold declared, unleashing the words with a thrilled upward turn of the mouth. Mahesh looked at Srini, who was biting at the dry skin on her lower lip, a sign that she was tense. He looked at Rumi, who was staring at the floor, waiting for him to decipher the words. And then he cast his gaze back toward Mrs. Gold and her radiant lines of teeth. "You mean she is doing well at school?" "I mean more than that, Mr. Vasi," said Mrs. Gold. "I mean that she is special, different, gifted." At this, Rumi started to fidget, scratching her nose and kicking her feet, looking from side to side, first at her mother, then at her father, her movements uncertain, exaggerated by the silence. Mahesh noticed that she had a scratch on her knee, just below the hem of her corduroy dress, above the tight line of white sock gripping her calf. Srini twitched her forehead at her daughter. Mahesh smiled at Mrs. Gold again and softened his voice, aware that his daughter was listening to each word as he spoke. He tried to keep the pressure out of the sentences he began to create. "Myself and my wife take Rumika's education."